We begin with PC Reg Cranfield on his beat on a foggy November night. I wonder what happened to him afterwards. Oh, what's that? There's a novel that tells you. No way. Let's have a look. So it appears that after walking off screen and seeing the face of his dead father in the fog, Reg Cranfield was driven insane. Which is nice. The next day at Coal Hill School, which appears to be the setting for Carry On Begins, science teacher Ian Companion and history teacher Barbara Wright, who very often is, are discussing the peculiarities of pupil Susan Foreman. Not only does she have strange gaps in some knowledge, she's also spookily prescient about significant future events. Britain's currency going decimal, humanity setting foot on the moon, the invention of the Twix. Barbara's even been doing some amateur sleuthing of her own, going to the address Susan gave for home and finding nothing there. These two are bloody determined to find an unearthly pupil, what with the whole Sheila Page situation previously, but then it turned out Birmingham isn't that alien a place after all. After politely refusing a lift home from Ian, Susan accepts the loan of a book on the French Revolution from Barbara, but when she looks in it she sees something horrific. It isn't a history text after all. It's a script book for Carry On, Don't Lose Your Head. The two teachers head out to I.M. Foreman's scrapyard and continue to share stories while waiting for Susan. If Ian's classroom chemistry experiments really are of no interest to her, Susan probably should have accepted the lift off Ian, as she could have observed firsthand the very active chemistry between him and Barbara. Finally, Susan appears and heads inside the yard. Ian and Barbara wait for her to walk past some foreshadowing before following. While looking around, Ian tries out some of his carry-on training by making a double entendre.
I take things as they come.
Yeah, perhaps stick with this franchise. While mooching around the scrapyard in the dark, they find a humming police box, and after investigating it thoroughly all the way around, William Russell gives one of my favourite ever line readings in Doctor Who.
It's alive!
The Doctor arrives. After a busy day, which had started well with him sorting out some mysterious business with a local funeral director and vicar, but ended badly, with his audition for the part of Sergeant Major Bullimore not resulting in him getting the part in the big budget Army Game musical in the West End. So he's really not in the mood for nosy school teachers. They argue with the old man before Susan unwisely opens the doors, allowing Barbara to push her way into the box and the impossible space inside. The technology on display is incredible. I mean, look at the doors! The Doctor, treating Ian and Barbara like an average pair of reality stars, tries to explain dimensional transcendentalism with the example of showing a large building on a TV. He must have been sharing notes with Roald Dahl. Susan, seeing an opportunity to self-aggrandise, claims to have invented the name TARDIS from its initials. Now look, I know humanity is millennia behind the Time Lords, mice and dolphins, but we do know what acronyms are. Most people know what acronyms are. Ian, claiming to have seen the control the Doctor used to shut the door, attempts to use it himself. Unfortunately for him, the Doctor has had time to activate his newly installed OCP Magnavolt anti-theft device, resulting in mild electrocution. Ian really should have gone to Specsavers, as it was clearly Susan who shut the doors. The Doctor angrily launches a TARDIS into the space-time vortex, the turbulence throwing the unprepared passengers around. The TARDIS lands on a barren piece of land, probably somewhere in the north, as a mysterious shadow looms.